wanna find you.
Hello and welcome to the final installment of our Oksalayo I'm Worthy campaign. Don't forget to enter the competition, guys. You can win that amazing prize of our journal and our pen. So go on and look at our website. We'll put that in the description and you can check it out. And you can also find our blogs there. You can find lots of cool stuff on our website. So please do get into it.
Yep, so the last video is so special.
Yeah.
Sikelela honors us with her story, such a personal story, such a touching story, such a moving story, about how she found her worthiness through some really, really adverse circumstances.
Yeah. So she found her voice and she found who she was through just difficulties that she experienced, and you'll see what we mean when we say that it was really difficult experiences, but she openly shares those with us, and just the story behind our whole campaign of Oksalayo I'm Worthy. When we wrote it and when we put it into being, we realized that, you know, this is someone who has overcome the kind of things that we want the people to write about into the journals and with the pen, and just owning their story, and the way that she narrates it from a place of power. That's what we mean when we say Oksalayo I'm Worthy. Despite the difficulties, I'm worthy.
And how she speaks it is how she lives it, and I think that's why she stood out to us for this campaign. It's just, she shows up in the world with so much power. She shows up in the world carrying her story, not hiding it, and it's just an excellent example of how in the face of things that might make you feel like you're not worthy, you always are.
So enjoy the video and don't forget to comment your own story of worthiness in the comments, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy the video.
Hi, igama lami nguSikelela. I grew up in a space where people embraced who they are. People embraced their roots. Part of our African roots entail not having your opinion valued as a woman. And in my entire upbringing, that's the one thing I've always had a problem with. And to some extent, I ended up appearing as a rebellious child. My grandmothers would say, akuvungezwa, intombazana ayidlimile, intombazana ayibuzi, intombazana iyazotha, intombazana iyathula, all those things, and they wouldn't sit well with me. After I started school, I moved to Durban. I left the rural areas and I came to live with my mother in Durban. I was a confident child when I left the rural areas because I think we were not exposed to a different side of the world, a different side of viewing life. We never even watched television. I never even knew Beyonce, to be honest, when I was living in the rural areas, because there was no way, it wasn't possible for me to know anything, any other life other than the one, esiphile emakhaya. So when I moved to Durban, it was such a huge transition for me because I moved to a completely different place, to completely different people, living completely different lifestyles. And the one thing that had a major impact on me was how I was bullied because of my skin. When I came to Durban and I attended school, it was also a multiracial school, which was something new to me because I come from a rural school. I speak with a black rural accent. I've always had my hair like this, by the way, and I'm dark. I was bullied to the core. I used to break down all the time. And I remember each time kuzoba ne-advert yaka kiwi laba bo-Polish, I used to cry my heart out because I knew that next advert, I remember there was this one advert, Kiwi keeps your shoes protected for a long, long time. Every time they saw me, they'd sing that song. When I get the chance to gather my thoughts and actually sit down with myself and ask myself, what is it that is so wrong with me that of all people, they just choose me? It made me feel so undeserving, because the whole point of me moving from rural areas to the city, my mother wanted a better education for me. So it made me feel so unworthy, so undeserving, so not belonging. I felt out of place, like all the time. I remember when I think I was in grade 5 and kwakubuza ukuthi nifuna ukuba yini wasenibadala. I'm so embarrassed to say this, but I'll say it. Ngathi ngifuna ukuba mpofu mina mase ngimdala. It was something that was so, ukuba mpofu to me at the time was sentimental. It was something so precious, so beautiful. Everywhere I went, ngangazi ukuthi akekho umuntu omubi njengami. Ukuze ngibe muhle fanele ngibe mpofu and my hair ibe silky nje, ngibe relevant. And it didn't happen. My mother told me it's not practical ukuthi wena ungavela ube mpofu wedwa. Find yourself. And she was so gentle about it, because one day at a time, she allowed me to grieve my past one day at a time. She accepted that I was so apologetic about myself. I had such a low self-esteem, and it was just, we took it slow. And taking it one day at a time, I slowly became this confident person. I started believing in myself. I evolved. It's so beautiful thinking about who I used to be. Yeah, it's refreshing to actually think of who I've become now. So after I had gained this beautiful confidence, I allowed myself to bloom, and I noticed how everyone just wanted to be around me because of how I projected confidence to them as well. I couldn't be in a space with someone who doesn't believe in themselves. It wouldn't sit well with me. I made sure that everyone around me is just as confident, or even more. Until I faced such a traumatic experience where I was mugged, I was brutally attacked, I was stabbed. That is where my confidence deteriorated. I literally went to square one. But this time it was different. It wasn't lacking because of comparing myself with other people. It wasn't because of my skin this time around, or my hair, or my accents and everything. It was deeper. It was different. I questioned, why did this happen to me? Why was I attacked like this? Why did these men who wanted to rape and murder me see me deserving of such? I started questioning my worth almost every day. There were things I couldn't do. This affected my mental health as well, as I was attending therapy almost on a daily basis. I just didn't think I was good for anything. So when I started to gather my thoughts and collect all memories I have of not feeling worthy, firstly going back to where I grew up, in as much as they embraced our African roots, the fact that a woman's opinion wasn't valuable made me feel like, as a woman, you should just keep quiet because no one values your opinions. Even in the corporate world, women's opinions are not valued. But in the corporate world, because everything is just so professional and civilized, it's almost subtle. It's not in their face, but it is there. I questioned how I grew up, how unworthy the surroundings made me feel, and I collected the memories of when I was bullied for my skin and hair, how unworthy that made me feel. And I wish things could change. I wish we could change the narrative. And it takes such a long time to actually grow out of that. It takes meeting certain people in your life. And for me, God has been so merciful with me. People I encounter, God is deliberate at making sure that I meet people who are so important for my mental health, for my growth, my spiritual growth as well. I remember this one time I was going through ngangingumgobo wangempela, and I consulted with Sihle and Denise, and they reminded me things that my therapist would tell me when I was going through therapy. Things like when I was attacked, my therapy used to say, "I've noticed that you're a dreamer. Like, you wake up in the morning and you can recall your dreams. For that reason, write those dreams down so that as a therapist I can be able to track down your recovery." And I'd write them down, and my dreams were getting better and better, because when this was still new, I'd dream of people chasing me, stabbing me. I was running in my dreams, and when I was healing, I'd have normal dreams like walking in the park, eating ice cream. I myself noticed that I'm healing. And this time of my life, I deviated from so many things. I moved from things I love the most, like writing. I used to write. I used to tell stories that don't even exist. I used to add characters to lifeless things and bring them to life. But after this tragedy happened, I was just surviving. I was not living, I was surviving. And my therapist brought those fundamental things to me, things that were fundamental to me, like writing. I went back to writing. I was recording my dreams. I was writing down how my day went. But for as long as I can remember, I've always kept a diary. I loved when Denise said her first diary was a fluffy diary with a padlock, because that's just me. I've been writing my entire life. I was writing secrets when I was a teenager. Now I don't think I write my secrets down, but I write everything. My life is just in pen and paper. To an extent that when I was going through umgobo, that I spoke to Denise and Sihle about, they reminded me that actually what is therapeutic for me is to write things down. And it was so refreshing, because they brought me back to who I used to be. And I did write things down. I did write those dreams down. I did write what certain things make me feel, and try to trace why they make me feel a certain type of way. So it brought healing to me, one step at a time. Putting things on pen and paper, pouring my heart out on pen and paper has played a significant role in maintaining a mental state that is conducive for me to, I can't think of this, I don't know how to put it, but putting things on pen and paper, pouring my heart out is what suits best. It works for me. It does wonders, honestly.